Core Coaching Raw, a podcast dedicated to helping you become inspired and encouraged to achieve more in your career and life. Join me as I interview high-achieving professionals from around the world while helping them to fully step into their greatest life potential. I'm your host, Kevin Pedry from Core Coaching Academy. Well, here we are, Core Coaching Raw. I have my friend Dianne with us today. Hi, Dianne.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really good. So you're here to bring 2021 into your sights, and you're looking to do something really amazing and really big. And
Yeah.
before I get into that, I'd love to just hear a little bit about you, what you're up to in the world, what you're hoping to do, and then we'll let the party start.
All right. So, as you said, I'm Dianne, and I am your wellness living guide. I am an actual success coach, certified success coach, but I call myself a wellness living guide because there's more to coaching a person than just coming in for business or personal or whatever it is. I find there's a lot more because once you start digging, you start finding the nuggets, and sometimes what they came in on isn't what the issue is at all. And so I, like you, follow the energy and we see where it takes us, ask lots of questions, dig deep if we have to, and that's who I am. I like to allow people to not really run the show, but it's their energy, it's where they're at. So that's who I am. I'm a seeker of truth.
Great. I love it. So tell me why you're here today. What are we hoping to achieve? What do you hope to get out of today? And what's that big thing for 2021 that we're trying to
Wow.
achieve?
I was introduced to you by Lachelle Adkins,
Mhm.
the super mom, and she connected us. And I really liked your style. I like the way you operate. I like the way I've been to your website. I've listened to a few of your calls, and I just really like your style. And when you gave me this opportunity to be coached by you, I was like, yeah, I'm in. I'm totally in because I like seeing how other people coach too,
Mhm.
because it's not just about me, and it's my way isn't the only way.
Mhm.
I like to see how other people do things so that, maybe I can learn something from that too. And for 2021, I've got some pretty exciting things coming on. I'm taking uh two of my courses that have never ever been done virtually. They've always been done in person, and I'm working right now on taking those virtual.
All right.
So I'm super excited, terrified, and all of the words in between.
Sounds like you're
Yeah.
right on track. It sounds like you're
Yeah.
right on track. I love it. So, what would be your hope for today in this session? Every session, I'm looking for a big takeaway. I want something
Mhm.
really big for you. What do you hope to achieve today?
Hmm. I think more clarity around, um, how can I put this? More clarity around taking these workshops online. One of them is it's a training of mine, but I shouldn't say it's a training of mine. It's a training that I've done, but I have rewrote it with my own experiences, with knowledge from other classes. So there could possibly be like a copyright issue there that I'm going to have to look into. So maybe a little bit more clarity around exactly how to do that
Mhm.
when it's not 100% my own work,
Mhm.
but pieces and bits from other places and other trainings. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what challenge do you think you're facing with this new, bringing this online? I mean, I know you say this copyright thing, but I want to go deeper. Um, what do you think are some of the challenges that you face bringing this thing forward?
Fear.
Yeah. And what is that? What is that fear that you have?
Well, I've been in this group for the last 3 weeks with some amazing women, and also in a 5-day workshop that I'm taking. And the thing that came up is I grew up in an era of being seen and not heard.
Mm.
So my opinion didn't matter. My words didn't matter. I was shut down all the time. And I think that has held me back for a really long time. And I think I just acknowledged that the other day that it's the fear of success. It's the fear of succeeding and being out there to the whole wide world. Before it was one-on-one, right? So, and I knew I was doing a good job, but now to take it virtual where there's so many more people out there, it's like, wow.
Mm.
So I think there that's a big stumbling block, is who am I to sit here and take this workshop online, and who's going to listen to me? It's that vulnerability of feeling like a fraud sometimes.
Mm. So fear of success, fearing that you are, who are you? And how does that show up in your work when you go to do something like this? Like how does that show up for you?
It doesn't necessarily show up in my work one-on-one. I think more where it shows up is when I had to get vulnerable and go, I started doing lives, Facebook lives for, I started with a challenge. So I think it was going on live. But what I learned from that, and so maybe this isn't a challenge and it's not the right way to answer it, but I think what I learned from that is the more vulnerable and real I was about my life and my struggles and who I was as a person and some of the things that I've overcome, that's when I got the most engagement.
Mm.
When I was focusing more on the business aspect of it, it was like crickets. It was like,
Mm.
so I think rather than and it still is a bit of a challenge because I mean, there's some bits and pieces to me that I'm not sure I want the whole world to know, so it's like, okay, where do I draw the line?
Mm.
How far do I go? And am I connecting with the right people? So, yeah. Is that
Is it okay to put your message out to the whole world?
It is okay. It can be a little bit frightening because there will be some people in my life that they're hearing it for the first time and going like, "What?"
And so
You
what
know?
does that mean? Like, it's your story, and what does that mean, you sharing your message, what does that have to do with them?
Um It doesn't have anything to do with them. I think it's just the fact that, um, I guess I still hold a little piece of that, be seen and not heard. So who am I to stand up there and tell my story to the whole world? You know?
Do you think your story is valuable?
Oh, I think my story is very valuable to those that need to hear it. Absolutely. Because I stuffed that story for many, 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 many years. And it's not just one story, there's a few.
What is that
So
story? What is that story exactly that you want to
you're
share?
gonna make me tell my story? Well, my story started a long time ago, and, I used to sing. I love to sing, and I'm not entirely sure where it started, but somewhere I was shut down for using my voice, using my words, and that sort of led me on a different path than what I thought I was going down, and I was bullied when I was in high school. I have no idea why. I haven't got a clue because I had tons of friends. I don't know if I'd call myself popular, but I did have a lot of friends. I was always the one for the underdog, so if there was girls that weren't very popular, I would hang out with them. Whether that's why I got bullied, I don't know. And then it led into my teen years, and the most tragic story of my life was I had a child when I was 18 years old, and I had decided to keep her, but back in that day, and it's just starting to kind of clarify with me now because I never ever said that I was giving her up for adoption. But somewhere along the line, that message got out there, and I never got to see her after she was born. And a social worker came into my room and I said, "Well, I'm not sure that I'm doing this. Like I don't want to give her up." And she says, "Oh, well, if you sign these papers, you have 6 months to make a decision." So I thought, okay, that way that everything's in place if I do decide that I'm just not equipped right now to do this. So I signed the papers and I didn't have any support from family at that point. And I signed the papers and it was about an hour after she left my room. I thought, what am I doing? I can't do this. And I phoned her back and I said, I can't do this. I'm keeping her. And she said, oops, sorry, done deal. I said, what do you mean it's a done deal? You told me I had 6 months to make a final decision. She says, nope. She said, you signed those papers. It's a done deal. I said, well, you lied to me. And so we had this whole conversation and I was on the phone. I was crying and doing everything. And I said, I'm going to take you to court, because I said, this isn't right. You're taking my baby. And she says, well, who do you think they're going to believe, an 18-year-old or me? And at that point, it was like I just got punched in the gut. And I thought, she's right. Who is going to listen to an 18-year-old over a social worker who coerced me to sign the papers? So I didn't fight it. And I have fought and struggled with that decision my whole life. And 6 months after my daughter was born, my fiance at the time was killed in a motorcycle crash.
Mm.
So that led me down a rabbit hole, a very dark, dark, deep rabbit hole. And I hid it the best I could. Once my daughter was born, it was never ever spoken about in our family again, ever, to this day. I mean, my husband and my children know about it, but in my immediate family, it was never spoken about, ever. It was like she didn't even exist. And I struggled with that for a really long time. However, now I don't look at it so much as an evil that was done to me. There was lots of good that happened in my life too, and I did come from a very loving, supportive family, just not that supportive in that way.
Mhm.
If it wasn't what they thought was right or good, then it wasn't good.
Mhm.
And you just didn't do it because it was all about appearance and stuff like that. My dad, on the other hand, was amazing. He was my guardian angel. And so when I went down that rabbit hole, thank God I had two friends that got really nasty with me and said, okay, enough. You're done. This is going on too long. And they dragged me back up to the light. And I was able to change my world and move on with it. And about a year or two after that, met my husband, became a mom, which was my dream, raised two boys. And then when my boys left home, well, let's back up a little bit. During that whole time, and even during my marriage, I was very angry. And I didn't take responsibility for anything. If something happened to me, it was your fault. It was all your fault. I had nothing to do with it. I took no responsibility. So I blamed everybody for every wrong that ever went on in my life. Raised my kids, became a holistic health practitioner during that time, but I didn't work. I stayed at home and raised my kids. When my kids grew up and left home, I sat there one day and I thought, who am I? Like, where do I fit? I don't fit anywhere anymore because my kids are gone. They don't need me. My house is quite small. We were the first ones to have a tiny home. And my husband's working. I mean, we had a great relationship. We did things together, but part of me was missing. And I sometimes wonder if it wasn't because of the situation with my daughter. I don't know. But anyway, I felt like I had no purpose. I didn't know who I was. And so I started thinking about, like, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And I took a menial job. Well, not a menial job. That's not a nice thing to say. I went and I worked in a clothing store. And my hours weren't my own. I was working weekends, I was working evenings. So my husband and I had no time together anymore. It was horrid. And I was sitting there one day, and one of my, it was actually my boss, and she said to me, she says, Diane, what are you doing? You have all this training in a holistic background. Why are
Mhm.
you here? And I kind of went, huh, why am I here?
Mhm.
So I started asking that question. I thought, so why am I here? What do I want my life to look like? And then I just sort of sat back and got really quiet because I'd meditated for most of my life once I come out of the dark hole. And I just sat with that. Who do I want to be and what do I want my life to look like? And it came to me. So I started my own business as a holistic wellness
Mhm.
practitioner. And from there, um, people were getting on my table and they were, I felt like a bartender sometimes because they were
Mhm.
pouring their heart out. The anger was coming to the surface, and at first I thought, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Because I didn't understand it. I'm here to make you feel good. Now all of a sudden I got you crying on my table, and you're angry, and you're just all these emotions are coming up. So I thought, "Wow, I need to I need to figure this out." So I
Mhm.
realized then that my job was a lot more important than just giving someone a massage or
Mhm.
doing reflexology or nutrition or whatever it was. And that's when I started to investigate how the mind works and the
I
brain.
Yeah, I love it. And so, you have this great story and it's like part of it's shame, part of it's, I grew up and I wasn't supposed to
Mhm.
speak. And now you've kind of blossomed into like, I'm going to help people tell their story. I'm going to,
Yeah.
bring up. So now we're in this new space where you're stepping in. You're saying, you know, it's time for me to fully step
It's
into my
time.
assignment in life, and this is what this meeting's about. This is what our session's about, and what needs to be different for you so that you can feel free and open to do the work you know in your heart you're supposed to do.
Mm. Well, I already am doing the work. Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because this brings me to another point. I did a workshop about 6 months ago, and the lady was talking about money and how money impacts your life and what it looks like. And she did a thing called um, money archetypes. And I love to give to people. I love to be of service and help people. That's who I've always been ever since I was knee high to a grasshopper. So when she did that, my archetype is a lady in waiting. And if you know what a lady in waiting is, they wait on the queen for no money. They do everything for the queen with no money. And when she said that to me, it was like, oh my God, because I give so much away for free.
Mhm.
Pardon me, let's back that up. I used to give away a lot for free,
Mhm.
but I didn't understand because I was generous. I was giving to people, I was helping people, and I knew I was helping them from their feedback and from testimonials and stuff like that. So I think for me, it's learning the best way to know that I'm worth what I charge and not being in that place where I'm giving everything away for free. And I've developed a system. I'm hoping that that will will work, is to donate part of the proceeds of what I charge people for my services.
Great.
And
So,
I
yeah, no, I love that, and I don't want to get too much into logistics because I want to
yeah,
keep this in our heart. And you're
yep,
doing really good. You're
absolutely.
giving me a lot of great information, and so it's a self worth, it's money,
Money.
and it's fear.
It's a
So,
little bit of fear. Yeah. And I think the biggest fear is the virtual part of it.
mhm. And why do you think? What needs to change in your thinking so that
Mm.
you can be okay, whether it's virtual, in person, or to 1 million people?
That's a good question. I think because that's a lot of people.
Mhm. And what's the difference between you and me speaking and speaking to 1 million people? What's the difference?
Not much because I can't see them.
That's
I
right.
can't see them. Yeah, I guess that's yeah, I honestly don't know what that block is because I've done so much work around that, and now that I understand what those blocks are, it's like, okay, so it's go time. Let's go.
So
Let's and I am
let's
doing
see if we can experience that a little bit. So I want you to close your eyes,
that. Okay.
and we're going to bring it to the body. And what I want you to think about right now is we're getting ready to go on stage, you and me. We're going to go tell your story. We're going to go, and there's, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 people, whatever. It doesn't matter the number. There's a lot of people. You're getting ready to go out on stage. What comes up physically in your body, not mentally, but where and what physically comes up in your body when you think about standing on that stage and telling your story?
I just start to shake. My
Hmm.
whole everything just starts to quiver.
Hmm.
Everything.
Hmm. And what is the first message that comes up for you intuitively about that? Like what messaging?
Hmm. The fear of saying the right thing.
So you don't want people to think that you don't know what you're talking about?
I don't know if it's so much that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's saying the right words that people need to hear. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what's coming up for me anyway.
And where do you feel that?
Yeah. Upper body, arms, hands.
Hmm.
It's just the whole. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And what's that feel like exactly?
yeah. Dry mouth,
Mm.
hands shake, stomach, you used to call it the butterflies. Um, yeah, really dry mouth. It's like, nah, there's cotton in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. How would it be different if you could just speak your truth without that?
It'd be fun. It'd be amazing.
Hmm. What does that feel like?
It's exciting.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like you're on fire. It's like you're lit up
Hmm. What is that like? Where do you feel that in your body?
everywhere
Mm.
from head to toe.
Mm. So, what do you think it is that what is that intuitive message that comes up that would need for you to change in order to have fun, be excited, to be able to share your great message with the world? What needs to change?
The voice inside my head,
Mhm. And that voice says what?
it's kind of going, shh.
So the voice says, shh.
Yeah, don't tell your story.
Mm. So you said at the beginning of the session that you were raised with kids are to be seen, not heard. You had a real event of where your power got taken away from you with your with your first child. Is that kind of the same feeling when you go to stand up to speak your truth? Is that the same experience?
Yeah, I think it is. Like it's like my power's been taken away from me.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah,
Have you seen those correlations before?
not to this extent. No,
Hmm.
no. I've done a lot of work, but it's mostly been forgiveness,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Yeah, I've never really done it this way before, to be quite honest. Yeah. Because funnily enough, I love to stand up and speak in front of people.
Mhm.
I had a job where I had to do one-on-ones with people and I hated it. I hated it and I was not good at it. But you put me up in front of 30, 40 people and I was cool. I still got the dry mouth and it was like, but once I got going,
Mhm.
I was fine.
Mhm.
And I actually had a lady say to me once, she said, "You don't know how good you are, do you?" And I said, apparently not." But she challenged me and she challenged me to um, just take a topic out of a glass and talk about it.
Mhm.
Give myself 10 minutes to prepare. But I've never really gone to that place where when I'm actually going out there and I feel all those things that I hear that, you know,
Mhm.
don't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I think it's really big. And I think you're not alone. I mean, I think we all
Oh,
have different messaging out there. And
absolutely.
so we want to go forward. We want to, you have a great message that you want to share. You want to bring hope to people. You want them to know that they can heal. You want them to know that they can be responsible for their lives. Coaching is a very special place and a very special thing to pass on to other people. And
Hmm.
so you do it great by doing one-on-one and, that's a wonderful thing, but you're ready to step into this new place and
Yeah.
you're ready to go out there. So again, how do you think it will be different for you knowing what you know now when you go into these situations? What do you think is different?
What's different? I think knowing that my story needs to be heard because I know I'm not the only one that's ever experienced it, and I know that I'm coming from a place in my heart that's truthful
Hmm.
and vulnerable, and if I can be that for somebody else, then I think that has a lot of impact on everybody. It's not just me coming out there like, and I think maybe that's part of my training too because I've been to psychotherapists and psychologists and stuff and it's almost like by the book. There's no compassion, there's no um truth, there's no vulnerability, whereas I've been there, done that. I've walked that path. So I can come at it from many different angles, and nobody can call me on it because it's my truth.
Right. So you are ready to go on stages and you're ready to bring this thing online and you're ready to really step into this place. So what challenges are you facing now? What challenges do you know that you need to overcome so that you can fully step into this?
Getting it done.
Getting it done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm partway there. One of them is almost ready to, I should be done, finish that in a couple of weeks to get that
Mhm.
going. And I'm going to do a test run on it first.
That's great.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you said another thing that I think is really important. And I think, you talk about wanting your to make sure that you understand your value and that other people understand your value and giving away your services for free.
Hmm.
How do you think you can really step into that so that you can reach your financial goals and beyond, right? Because we all have reaching goals that we want to accomplish.
Hmm.
What do you need to do with that in order to, number one, connect the self-worth, to connect your voice, and to make sure that you're making the money that you want to make in your career?
I think valuing myself and valuing what I'm worth.
Do
Yeah,
you, do you value yourself?
I do. I do. It took me a long time to get there. And I guess I shouldn't say I didn't recognize it, that I valued myself.
Mhm.
I know I'm good at what I do. And I know I help people because I get that feedback. But when it came to charging that money, it was like, ugh. And
Mhm.
that's where the self worth came in, because it was like, wow, who am I to be
Mhm.
charging this kind of money,
Yeah,
to help people? However, when I did step it up a notch, nobody had a problem paying it.
that's right.
It was me that had the problem
Yep.
accepting it
Yep.
and receiving it. Yeah.
So this is a good point for you because now that you're going out onto the bigger stage, I want you to be free to speak your voice because it's like everybody that I know that's in this work. It's like if it's in us, it means it needs to be shared.
It needs to be
And
shared. Yeah.
and there's a lot of noise on social media and there's a lot of noise out there and we need to be able to be that voice for people and we need to rise above that noise. And it's not like, oh, there's Tony Robbins and there's all these other people and I have to look up to them. I don't care about
Mhm.
what they're doing. I mean,
That's
i'm
right.
i'm grateful for their work, but I have my work and I need to be loud and I need to be willing to stand up every single day and scream it out to the world and show up and to say,
Yeah,
here I am, people, because I want to help you.
absolutely. Love it.
Yep.
We have a
So
great message.
you have a great message, right?
Yeah, you do too. I love listening to you speak. Yeah, that's very true. And I think maybe that is part of it too, is the fact that, you see the Tony Robbins and the whoever else is out there like that. And, but you know what? When you look down, they started, some of them, in way worse places than we did.
You bet.
Tony Robbins lived in a car, for God's sake.
Yep.
Who am I to question that? And who am I not to step into my power and say, hey,
That's right.
always had a roof over my head. I was very fortunate.
Well, that's just it. It's just like our culture is very weird about like hierarchy. It's always
Yeah,
hierarchy and everybody. It's like just because you are the oldest doesn't mean you're the smartest or the most aware in the
exactly.
room, right? Like I have a 3 year old, a 5 year old, and a 13 year old at home, and they're way wiser than me many moments in a day, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
let's just be real. Like I'm like constantly learning from them, and I
Yeah,
just think that if we can remember that, it takes away that pressure of having to be perfect, having to
yeah,
always be put together. And we just have to go out there and just do it and flub it up
yeah, we
and
do.
mess up. And I'm going to go do my speech and I'm going to screw it up. I'm going to come
Yeah.
on here, we're going to have technical difficulties, and things are going to happen, right? Like
Yeah.
um
You know what I think another issue is around that, as we're talking about this, is the fact that when you hear speakers that have such a story
mm,
that's so impactful, and you're kind of going like, well, wait a minute, I don't have a story like that. However, our story is just as important and maybe impactful to a different set of people.
Exactly.
So yeah,
It's like when I hear your story, right? It's like your story, and this is what I'm always telling entrepreneurs. That's like we all have a story, we all have something to
yeah,
share, right? Like some of us have more business background, some of us what none of that matters.
yeah,
But the truth is, it's like it's those micro stories. Like I'm a recovered alcoholic. I have recovered from other addictions. Recovered from anxiety. Right. All
exactly.
of these stories are the stories that I can help other people with if I choose.
Exactly.
And your story of being silenced, your story of being powerless, your story of all of the healing work that you do,
Yeah,
we're meant to share it. All of us.
exactly.
Yeah, we are.
Awesome.
All right. So, what's your big takeaway here today?
Mm, it's go time.
It's go time.
It's go time. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got me to sort of look at a few different things in a different way. They're things I've looked at, but not in the way that you approached it. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So, articulate that for me. What are the differences that you see for yourself? Because I want you to.
Um, well, I think it's just another piece of the onion being taken off, right? And just the way that you approached it was just a little bit different
Mm,
because I've explored the dry mouth and the shaking and everything else, but I've never really looked at it in that way that okay, so what am I hearing
mm,
when I go to step on that stage or go into that workshop or whatever it is? What am I actually hearing in my head? I've never explored it that way before. So, and as soon as you said that, I heard that voice like, shh,
mm.
you know, just stop. So I've never looked at it that way, and that's powerful. That's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, and you come across very confident to me and
Thank
very
you.
like you have a very strong spirit. And I think that is part of your message. Like if you use that, it's almost like when we show up every day, it's like, I don't want to hide that message. I want people to know that every
Yeah.
day, it's like my alcoholism. I have that voice in the back of my head that says, do you want to drink? Do you want to do
Yeah.
this? Right. And it's like, no. Right. And just
No.
like you're going to use that to help yourself and to help
Hmm.
other people. And I believe that's the work because, don't silence me and don't be silenced.
That's right. Yeah. No more.
That's awesome. I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for you to step into this and it's okay to feel, nervous and scared. And, when we go out on stage to, feel all of that stuff. Um, I don't think that it really is ever perfect.
No.
I don't think we ever go out there and be like, it's just going to be great. And I'm not going to have any nerves. I'm going to have
Yes,
nerves.
I am.
Yes, I am. And maybe I won't, maybe some days I
Yeah,
won't. Maybe some days I'll
exactly.
show up and
Yeah.
just like, but some days I might, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But very
Awesome.
important work you're doing. I'm really excited for
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this message. I think this is so very, very powerful and
Well, thank you for inviting me, and
you
thank
know,
you for your guidance.
you're very, very welcome.
Very valuable. Yeah.
Yes.
All
Well,
right.
thank you. And for all of the listeners today, thank you guys so much. And if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're not quite there, if you feel like you're not fully stepping in, my message is to dream it, believe it, create your life, and
Absolutely.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you'd like to follow me and learn more about Core Coaching Academy and how we can support you, check us out at core-coachingacademy.com, where you can find out more about our programs, community events, and you can join our free Facebook community. Until next time, always remember, dream, believe, and create your life, and never give up.